Welcome, my name is Jordan, and in the next few videos I want to tackle the topic of presence and really dive into what presence is, how it kind of works, how to cultivate more of it in every area of your life. So if you've ever been involved in coaching or the personal development world, and particularly the more masculine men's work area of this field, you would have probably heard the term of presence. And presence seems to be this place that we all want to get to. It's the place that we all want to come from. And actually, a life lived well or practiced well is a life where we are perpetually and always present to the unfolding circumstances of our lives, our work, our relationships, and so on. So presence is a place that most of us would like to come from more often and embody a lot more of. But what is presence? I think definitions are the most important thing to start off with. So we can even define presence in a number of different ways. And often when someone says presence, be present, the first definition that comes to mind is attention. Are you paying attention? Now we are, I believe, always aware. We always have attention. It is always somewhere. The question is, what are you paying attention to? Is the totality of your awareness and your attention consumed by some kind of self-story? I am this, I'm not that, I like this, I don't like that, I like him, I don't like her, I want this, I don't want that. Is it consumed even by a sense of ongoing inner critic or self-limiting beliefs? This can be an absolute prison for so many people for so many years. Awareness is just consumed by this ongoing voice of depredation, this ongoing self-deprecating voice? Or is your awareness more on your whole being? Perhaps you can feel your emotions, sensations in your body. Maybe you can actually feel the state of consciousness that you're in. Maybe you feel your being as in an intuitive way. So just there are many different ways that we can place attention on ourselves. We can also place our attention, our awareness on another person. So right now I'm speaking to you, and you are kind of, in my perception, somewhere in the camera or behind the camera. And certainly for me, through many years of coaching practice, intimacy, sexual practice, I'm learning to put my awareness really on the other person, just witnessing, beholding, noticing what's happening in their reality moment to moment. And as I do that, I actually become free of my own inner stuff. Ideally, I'm still feeling myself in a certain way, but as I put more awareness onto the other person, I certainly become more free of the head stuff. So I can place my attention on a second person. I can also place my attention on a kind of third person or the surroundings. So you might feel this when you go for a Sunday morning hike. Maybe you've been working a lot with the brain during the week, and then at the top of the mountain, the path opens and all of a sudden you find yourself in great nature, and often that is accompanied by a particular deepening or slowing down of the mind, where the sound of the birds starts becoming louder and more beautiful, the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves. This attention on the fullness of nature can liberate our awareness from our small selves and place it on the context. So just there are three very strong examples of how to liberate your presence, so it's not completely wrapped up on what's going on in the head, but you can actually modulate your awareness in different places and make yourself present to different things. And I think one great way of defining your presence or the capacity of your presence at this stage in your life is by asking the question, to what extent can I choose where I place my attention, versus to what extent is my attention just reactively being flung around from thing to thing, right? From my mind to emotion to this person. Am I able to actually be in charge of the choices of where I place my attention? And if you can do that, I would say you have a great capacity for presence and a great capacity for attention. And even though this is just the first point in our video, that's a coaching program in a very full way. to learn how to be the rider of the elephant in many ways, be the person who dictates where your attention goes rather than having your attention being a reactive thing. So that's one sense of presence, a person who can pay attention to the things he chooses to pay attention to. Another definition of presence, I would say, is, and how this shows up in our language, is stage presence. So someone walks into the room and everyone looks around at who this person is. They just have a compelling aura, a charisma. They have a presence. Maybe they aren't present, or you wouldn't say that they are present, but they have a presence. It's very interesting, that use of language. Often I find that actually people who are present in the sense that they can control and modulate their own attention mindfully and consciously, often people like that do have a bigger personal presence or stage presence because they can choose what to do with it. What is that? How do you describe the felt experience of a person's presence? Could you actually define that in language that's even more helpful for another person to understand? Think of your favorite musician, your favorite actor or comedian. How would you describe their presence? Is mysterious and very, very difficult. So I'm just putting that question out into the air for you. But what's interesting is I see a lot of musicians, actually, and what I notice with some musicians is that their singing might be really good. Their instrument playing might be really good. They might even have a pretty decent embodiment, like they're jamming to the music, they're enjoying what they do. There's a lot of delight, sensuality in their act. But I also notice a lot of musicians kind of keep this to themselves. Almost like, yeah, I'm singing up here and I'm really feeling it and I'm doing the whole thing in my space. And in a way that the body is actually modulated to keep itself quite small, and some of the good vibes that are happening in here don't actually transmit out to the audience. So to coach actors, musicians, performers, people speaking in public, what I'm going to do is invite them to notice what they're doing with their attention. And as they are feeling whatever they're feeling, they're delivering their work or their creative expression, can you actually feel each individual member in the audience at the same time as you feel yourself, and open your awareness out to the whole context? And often this unfolds personal expression and personal feeling so that everyone in the room can feel it. And you will know this if you've ever had one of those truly sublime performances and you've witnessed something amazing happens. The artist is delivering, singing, playing the thing they want to sing. But not only is there a full surrender to the emotion that's happening within them, but there's a full presence on everybody who's out there in the audience. And often in moments like that, we all get caught up in the same vibe. So this form of presence, the second form, this kind of stage presence, a lot of this has to do with modulating the body. So you can be very present with awareness stuff, but to the extent that you can open your body, you just gain a few more inches, a few more, a larger capacity to actually broadcast and transmit what you're feeling. And so if the first form of presence is different mindfulness and meditation practices, whether kind of like a Buddhist mindful body scan sensation stuff, or an interpersonal intimacy practice, or a nature mysticism for opening up awareness. In the second definition of presence, for stage presence, what you're looking at here is how can you open your body, and often acting, improv, different forms of dance are giving you the deep skills from which you can do this. So I think there's also a third definition of presence that I like to work with, and the easiest way to say this, you might not like or agree with the term, but the easiest way to say this is God's presence. And in other terms, there is a divine presence or a sublime presence, or there is a transcendence or a kind of a holy vibration which enters into a person that you feel or you don't feel. And to the extent that you feel this transpersonal quality of presence, that's going to then be inflected in everything that you do out into the world. And I find that both with meditation and with good intimacy and in practices that I love. A lot of people get this from jazz music. Other people I know get this from surfing. I get this from writing also, which is I don't just have my awareness in my thoughts or like scrambling around my brain trying to express things I've thought before in a particular way. I'm looking to get my awareness out and somehow be feeling for the very tip of the emerging edge or the very crest of the wave. Jazz music's amazing for this because not only are you playing your thing, but you have to listen to everyone with such a care and a finesse to be on the emerging edge of the next note, and you create from there. Surfing, are you on the crest of the wave, kind of peering over the wave? You can see over the whole thing, it's like the wave is propelling you and it's behind you. Or do you just miss the waves? Are you kind of swimming on the board like 10 or 20 meters behind the cutting edge of the wave? So there's something about awareness, having one foot in the present, one foot in the emerging future, and just being there as these two things happen. And this is a very, very holy space. There's a quality of emergence that comes forth, and it's absolutely exhilarating. This is why people go every morning here in Bali to try and surf and get a good empty beach and try and get into the pocket of some of those moments. This is why people love jazz and dedicate lives to it. This is why different artists find their pursuits. This is sex, this is intimacy where I'm so exposed, I'm so open, and I do not know what's coming next, and I am immersed. I'm so immersed in the moment with what might come next that I don't fear it, I don't strategize, I don't premeditate. I'm in a state of total flow. And there we go, another definition. Presence is flow state, presence is flow. And for me, this is a very sublime transpersonal quality. And it is transpersonal because the personal mind doesn't have time to do its cognition. The moment arises and we are it. And so you can bring all these three things together. Expertise in modulating where you put your attention and when, and that you're in the driving seat of it. Working with your body and your expression so that presence isn't just like a secret thing that you have in private, but your gifts can really infuse more deeply into the world, stage presence. And then more of this sublime presence. Are you touched by something? Does something come through you? Are you on the very evolutionary edge of the moment? And often, and we started this by talking about coaching and personal development, men's work for being with women, and also leadership in the world and creativity. If you're in touch with this kind of presence, the things that come out of you in lovemaking, in your work, are going to be vastly, vastly superior. So that's why presence, and we'll come on to the qualities of presence in the next video, make up the very central axis of my work, because you can do all the psychology and your inner thoughts and your defense mechanisms and the masks you wear and work on the outer layer of the psyche. It's important work. You can also get into your emotions and do emotional processing. But really, what's mysterious, what's powerful, what is the elusive and gratifying and meaningful edge that we're all looking for is learning to get into our personal pockets of presence and learn how to expand them. Because this really is the difference from conventional skill flowering up into mastery, surrender, flow, and being surprised by the ongoing discovery of your own genius. If you like this video, I'll invite you to subscribe, check out my writings, and like I say, I'm going to speak much more about the very qualities of presence and what to do when presence is not here in the next video.